What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Raven Reviews. I am Headless Nut Stark, and right over here is my co-host, Ryan Milkey. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Just hanging out. Been looking forward to talking about this episode all day, all night. I watched it twice last night. I watched it when it was on, and then I did Let's Chat with Charles, and then I watched it again afterwards.
Yep, I watched it yesterday, and then I watched it again today with the wife, and we both like. It's funny. She actually called the big. I don't know if you want to call it the big secret or the big twist with them being cannibals. She actually called that really early on, and I said, wait. So you saw spoilers? She's like, I didn't see anything. She's like, I could just tell the way they were acting and stuff. So, and then. When they bring the venison, they say it's venison. She's like, I know that they're probably eating her dad. So she called it pretty early on.
Yeah, and they do kind of trip themselves up because he delivers them of a bowl of meat, and he says it's venison, and then in the next scene he drags the deer in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it can't be the venison then.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Welcome in, Pop in Missouri. How are you doing today?
I'm glad you like the thumbnail.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and break this thing down, man. This is one of my favorite episodes. Right off the bat, and it started off a little bit odd because I was like, man, he's still. I kind of thought they were going to do a time jump again in the game. I kind of stopped right before this, so I wasn't really sure where they were going to go in this episode. And I really thought there might have been like a week time jump to kind of let Joel get healthy. But we literally pick up right where we left off for the most part last week. And so the first thing we see is that she decides that she wants to go out and try to. I guess she was going to go hunting to get food because I know what do you think they're eating? It was like a beef jerky or something here. I'm
Yeah,
not quite sure.
I'm not very well versed on the cuisine of Americans, so I'm probably not
Yeah.
going to be the best to answer this question. But I was thinking it was like, dry carbs, like stuff that doesn't go off. Just like
Yeah.
I can't even think of what it is, but just like oatmeal biscuits and things like that. Something that's really easy to make with the flour and stuff. But again, they can't eat the flour because it was poisoned.
That's true.
That was where the cordyceps came from. So maybe that's why they're having to eat all these weird food. But it was more significant where you actually saw the thought process go through her head as to, should I eat all this? Because really, is it worth me going hungry if he's just going to die?
Right. Exactly right.
So yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah. So we see her go off, and she sees a fluffy little white bunny, and she falls, and she does not even take a shot at the bunny. So thank God for the bunny, because I did not want to see no bunny get shot.
Dude, are you playing around or?
I don't want to see no bunny get shot, bro. I hate when bunnies die in movies.
Oh my God.
Dude,
I need to show you a clip, because there's a famous clip from this video game of a girl streamer, sitting in the corner of her stream, and she sees a white bunny, and she's like, "Oh, how cute, a white bunny!" And then an arrow goes through its head and sticks it to the ground, and she yelps with such pain. It's one of the best memes in the world.
Wow.
I will find it and I will show you. I know it's going to be hard for you to watch, but it's going to happen. You're going to see a dead bunny in this video game, and it's coming, so beware.
Oh boy, okay. I'm probably not that far away.
It's one of the most iconic scenes of The Last of Us.
When
I think of The Last of Us, I think of the bunny getting shot. That's my scene in my head.
So is this the scene that it is?
Yeah, it was teasing that scene. It was
why do
teasing
you
that
think they
scene.
took it out of the show?
I don't know. Maybe it was just if you know, because a lot of people have seen that meme.
Gotcha. Okay. So interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Papa Missouri says dried meat. That's what I was kind of thinking. It's probably like some type of jerky, something like that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. But yeah, so and then she sees a deer. So the first thing I'm thinking, okay, so you're gonna shoot this big old deer. There's no way she's carrying that thing back. So I was kind of like, at first I was kind of like, I don't think she's really gonna take a shot, because like, what are you gonna do? Just let it sit there? Like, how are you gonna bring that back? I guess you.
Well, yeah, that exact statement gets put to her later on, doesn't it?
It does get put to her. But so she does shoot it, and we do see it run off. So
straight from the game.
Yeah, at first I did not know that if she hit it or not. But then when you see her start trailing it, you can see the blood, in the snow and stuff like that.
So in the video game, she shoots it and it runs off, and she has to chase it, and it ends up going to an abandoned warehouse area, and then that's where in the game you meet up with the two antagonists that we're about to meet in this episode. That's
right. Oh yeah, and I guess we should probably mention that. So at the beginning of the episode, before we even see Ellie, we open up into like this big dining hall, almost like a restaurant, and we got this guy preaching, and you're like, I mean, like right off the bat, I kind of figured, okay, this guy's probably not good. And I know in the episode they really do try to make him look like a really good guy, but they're doing something off from the beginning, And
yeah, and then they threw for a curveball.
They do. They try to go back a couple of times with him, actually. Even when she's in the jail cell later in the episode, they kind of they try to really play on the feelings of Ellie and the viewer as well. And I thought they did a really good job, because I almost thought a couple of times back there, I'm like, okay, maybe they're just making him look bad, and then he'll turn again. But obviously, if you watch the episode, you know what happened. So
this is why we do these breakdowns, because exactly what Headless has just said is completely valid, and I completely agree with what he's just said. But because I've played the video game, I was actually thrown for a curveball at how immediate it was that he was bad at the start, David. It was immediate in the show, but in the game, that's not the case at all. You come across him, and you literally go through a good chunk of the next part of the game trusting this character in the game.
Okay.
And then it just ramps up, and there's a lot more infected. This is one thing that I'll get to later on in this breakdown and talk with you. The infected are being not used enough in this show for me, and I will get onto that later, because especially in the game portion of this scene in this episode, there's more infected to deal with.
Yeah.
And the way you deal with the infected turns David, and then you see his true sides because of it. And it's different how we get it in this one. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's kind of instantly shown to you.
You know, and that was one of the things I was going to mention later on too. Was I am a little disappointed that we don't have the infected. Like, we've seen one in the last 3 episodes. We've seen one infected in the last 3. Last time we really saw them was in episode 5. Then we get nothing in 6. We get 1 in 7, and then we get nothing here. So
then I'm going to press pause and rewind you to where you said that this was one of your favorite episodes yet. So isn't it crazy?
It is.
How you literally just said we only get 1 zombie in 3 episodes, but this one was your favorite one yet. It's really well done writing. I guess it's budget. I guess it's constraints on the story, but they need to bring in more. Maybe and I think they dialed it back because of season 2.
Yeah, and I think in episode 9, I think we're going to get a ton. I really do. I think it's going to be a big scene like that, because now that they're kind of done with this area, you know, like it is. I mean, it's very video game-ish, the series so far. Like, you're going from area to area. I know last week we talked about possibly them going back to Tommy. So the only thing I could think of is that they were that far away already. You know, it seems like they weren't too far away when this all happened. But like, why would she not have just, you know, had Joel stay in the cabin and when she decides to leave, dude, just hightail it with the horse back to Tommy.
Yeah, why are you looking out trying to get a deer? Why not just go and get Tommy? It'd probably be saving his life quicker if you go and get Tommy than trying to kill a deer.
It must have been a long ways away, I guess, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Because why would you not at least go over there and get him? You know, so maybe it was days that they were riding. So
I think so. I don't know if you're ready. You might know this information already, but some people might not. So I'm gonna maybe blow your mind here. James, the second guy in this show that we meet David and James.
Yeah, he's the voice of Joel. I know that.
Yeah. Okay. So Joel is voiced by Troy Baker, and Troy Baker is the actor of James in this episode. So it's really cool.
It is
because I think he played James amazingly. And knowing how well he did Joel, you know,
you could tell a little bit by his voice. You could tell, you know, like when you actually listen to what he's, you know, when he talks, it's definitely a little different in the game. You know, I don't know if they, you know, they make it a little deeper because his voice is deep, but it's not as deep as I feel like as Joe is in the game. But again,
and it's like how many years ago, you know?
But you're right. We're talking 10 years ago as well. So. But yeah, that I did see that was pretty cool, and they've done that a lot with these actors. You know, like the people who are the voice actors in the actual episode.
Marlene.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we're due one more. We're actually due one more. The girl who voiced Ellie.
Oh, okay.
Is supposedly, I'm guessing she'll be in episode 9, so we should be introduced to a new character next week.
Yeah. So right now, as far as the game. So are we talking? So are you still kind of holding on? Like like next week we'll end in that hospital still, or do you think we're not going to get?
Yeah,
it's leading that way.
I would like to. I think next week needs to be close to 90 minutes.
Okay.
Please, HBO, give us a 90-minute finale. I would love that.
Yeah,
I would. Hospital scene.
Yeah. I doubt they've released that time. It's usually like a day or two before the episode dropped. How long the episode is.
Beginning as well, we learn about David's backstory, and we're brought to his town called Silver Lake. David is a holy man, talks about new heaven and new earth, and read some scriptures. Like, I'm not a religious person whatsoever. If you want to believe in what you believe in, fair dues. Just don't throw it down my face. And yeah, I was kind of annoyed at the start of the episode. I was like, oh, for God's sake, you know. But it was good, and yeah, they definitely threw it at us. But it's pretty crazy because obviously in the game you only ever get the locked perspective of Ellie and Joel. So in the show they get to take more liberties with the storyline because they give us points of view from the bad guys. Because in the game she looks through the curtain of the basement and she sees the guys outside with the guns in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the stuff leading up to it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really work. It does. It's good in the show because we see that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I was gonna say too, I don't know who the girl was that was playing the daughter of the guy that they killed or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought she did a really really good job in her small role. I thought she was
she did.
excellent. Yeah.
She did, yeah, and that was a very striking and shocking scene. The religious stuff, I believe, if I'm correct in saying, the religious stuff was added for the show. It was never in the game.
Oh, okay.
David wasn't really a religious person. He was definitely a cannibal, and he was definitely a child molester. And yeah, he was definitely a bad guy. But you don't get to know about all that stuff until later in the game, which is pretty good.
So the whole end scene in the episode with the fire and all that is that all in the game as well?
Yeah, that's
Straight from the game.
to a T. The exact, like I wrote down here, bosses in games are usually big, crazy monsters and highly skilled characters, right?
Mhm.
But I remember playing this game, and this scene where she's fighting and she's hiding from him in that diner was one of the most spine-tingling scenes to play. Because, like I say, they're usually bosses and they're usually highly skilled characters, and you've got to do crazy stuff to beat the boss.
Right.
But it just, something felt weird about hiding from a 50-year-old cannibal hunting you down. It's a very scary game, and it was again. We're going to drop a video tomorrow on Raven Reviews, and it's going to have a comparison of video game to this episode, and you must check it out because it's bloody brilliant. So yeah, that'll be a good one.
So yeah, so then so after she kills the deer, we meet the two, Jason and was
David and James.
David and James, right? And so like I said, right away, I kind of knew something was off with these two. Again, the opening scene is real creepy, especially when you already know what happens in the episode and you watch it the second time. Actually hearing him speak and stuff, you're like, man. And just kind of looking around, and everyone's just kind of sitting there like almost like a cult,
Yep.
Just believing what one person thinks, and I
got Negan vibes, a slight Negan vibes.
Yeah, I definitely. I think
leader of bad guy leader of a group, and they all listened and did what he said, and they cowered under his hand and his voice.
Yeah, but Negan was not tougher sounding and looking anyways.
Yeah.
And the whole conversation with him and James outside the cabin, I definitely was feeling weird there because I almost thought he was gonna like because James was almost like he was almost being like the voice of reason to a point, and I almost thought he was gonna kill him right there, and then that was gonna kind of struck the episode. I almost thought that's what was gonna happen in the open scene.
Okay.
I don't know. It just felt weird. It just felt off. And then obviously we see Ellie meet them over by the deer because they find the dead deer, and she was kind of hiding, and then she comes up in front of them or behind them, and I think it was behind them, and tells them basically stick them up and drop your rifles, and ends up making a trade. She makes a trade for some medicine for the deer. So David sends James back to town, and he tells her it's like a 4 hour. I think it was 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Or no, it's 4 miles.
Was 4 mile round trip.
4 mile round trip, right? And then we get a cool little conversation. So what do you think about the conversation they had in the cabin when they're bringing the fire and all that while we're waiting for James?
So David explains to Ellie that they were hunting down a man that had killed one of their own, and that man was with a little girl, and she instantly got her defense up and was like, because she'd already told him that she wasn't alone and they had women and children that were also hungry and needed the food, and that was why she was needing the deer. So it was a very good back and forth conversation between the two of them. And again, I will always go back to it. It's literally you're playing the video game on screen, word for word. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
how it is done. Like, it really is. It's crazy. We don't get this in normal day and age, with these shows. We don't get to read the script before the show's made, but it feels like I've got inside knowledge because we've played the game, and it's delivering every time. So yeah, it's really strange, and it's quite a unique experience to go through. to be like, well, I've heard that line, and then I've heard the response, and then you can kind of like when you watched a movie 10 times, you know the line and you know what's coming next. I'm doing that with a fresh episode that I've never seen.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy.
It is really, it's just well done. Really, again, I know, like, we were talking earlier about the not being enough infected. But I mean, again, in the game, of course you're gonna have more infected because that's, you're not gonna just walk through. There's got to be something else to do. So it sounds like in the game, does he like actually like give you missions to go do, or does he tell you to do stuff, or
No, you go with him on a mission. You meet him in the abandoned warehouses, and you're talking with him. And James, he sends James away, and then James returns with the gun pointed at her from behind. And then it escalates from there. But yeah, you're just basically sat in the fire talking. What you hear in the episode is exactly what happens in the game. There is nothing added and nothing taken away.
I see. Okay, that's cool. So they make the trade. He comes back with the medicine, and she basically takes it and kind of runs, and they just kind of let her go. So obviously Ellie is not a nurse because she ends up sticking Joe right in the wound because she didn't know how to, I guess, give it to him.
To be honest, that's what I would have done.
Not find a vein, huh?
A vein, but surely if you put it in there, it's getting directly to the point that it needs to be at. If you put it in the neck, it's got to travel all the way through the bloodstream and get to where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you've got a headache or toothache, part of that painkiller is going to use that stuff also, and not the stuff that's needing stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know the way it all works. I always thought it had to be in your blood system and go through your body. But I guess if you're putting it into one specific spot, I guess it would go there. I mean, I don't know.
Like if it's spreading slowly and infecting him, if you put it in and that goes with it at a faster rate, it might overtake the spread and heal it back down.
Okay. All right. Well, then there you go. There you have it.
That's what I would say. But hey, if you ever get shot, don't trust me to save you. Because I'm probably the one that shot.
And then we get a cool little scene where she kind of like sees that he's like cold, so she kind of cuddles up next to him. And then the next day happens, and basically, Dr. Milky, there you go. That's right, Charles. Yeah, and then we see so she then gives a second shot, which I think is important for later in the episode. Because I was even like, so how many of these are going to take before this guy actually gets up and can move?
So were you sure he was going to get back up, or were you thinking he could be dead? Like this could be it? Are we going to episode 9 with no Joel?
Nah, I didn't think he was going to die. I mean, it's the Mandalorian. He's not going to die. At least not right now. I guess I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Got killed in the first show, and he's my favorite when he got killed in that one. So
that's true. He did.
And we kind of got a call back to that as well this episode with him bashing some people's heads in, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Some of the scenes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, David, right?
David and James. Yeah, James is the one that went away to get medicine. David is the cannibal, God-fearing idiot.
So the next day, she gives him the second shot, and she decides that she's gonna go out. And I'm not sure what she was thinking here. I guess maybe to find more food. I don't know, but I would assume that that's what she was doing when she opened the garage door. We see the horse. Oh, she does. Yeah. She does go get snow and to feed the horse. So I guess that's water, right? And then I don't know if that's all her plan was there, but
I think she was going out to get food.
That's what I was thinking, but then she sees a bunch of birds fly away, and that kind of gives her a sign that, like, well, maybe there's somebody coming. And then we see James and David and a couple other guys coming out, and they're basically trying to hunt them down. Now, I think they're looking for Joel more than anything. I think because they do make mention that the father, who the daughter was crying about at the beginning of the episode, was killed by a man and a daughter. So
yeah, Joel killed the guy that they were looking for. Anthony Blaze, the one and only legendary dude. How you doing? And Anthony Blaze, can you please answer Poppy Missouri? He's getting rather upset with you ignoring him in the chat.
Yes, getting very, very upset. And I see the caps. The caps are coming at us now.
Guess I'm not worth a wrench, lol. This is Raven Reviews. This is a new journey, and yeah, we'll sort all that out for sure.
But yeah, so we Ellie then jumps on the horse and tries to get them away from those houses, and they end up following her a little bit. And I don't, here's the thing: like, I guess she's just making circles because, the one guy like doesn't seem like he moves all that much, and he ends up shooting the horse. Which is funny though. Doesn't the horse get up and run, or does the horse actually die? I thought I saw the horse get up. The horse does die. The horse didn't get back up and run. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking of something else, but regardless, she falls and gets kind of pretty much knocks herself out, and yeah,
the deer
and then
got back up and ran away.
What'd you say?
The deer that she shot at the beginning got up and ran away. The horse went straight down.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, so then they kind of kidnap Ellie, and they take her back, and
they were going to kill her. James and the other guys were going to kill her.
Yeah, they wanted to kill her, and David's the one who kind of
David had extraordinary ideas for this encounter.
Well, like I said, we already talked about how David, I guess he likes the young ones, and maybe he just thought she looked tasty. I don't know. It could be either one, but but yeah. So he then tells the last. I think there's 3 of them, right? They kind of go door to door and all that kind of stuff. And so then
they find Joel. They find Joel, and he goes down into the basement. I thought this was good. I was like, what's going to happen? I thought, Joel got up, and just at the right time when he was coming down the stairs, he'd moved the wardrobe out of the way and gone through the door. Come down the stairs, and Joel's not there, and I was like, oh, here we go. Where is he? And he goes around the corners and jumps out behind him, doesn't he?
Yeah. And before that, we did forget to mention that Ellie does give him a knife and basically tries to tell him what's happening. And he's still very
people are coming to defend yourself.
Yeah. But I think, when he starts hearing some stuff upstairs, and that, that probably is enough motivation to get up. So, Poppy, you're right about that. Because the horse does get killed, and they end up dragging it back. And this is right. So after this scene is over and Joel takes care of these 3 guys, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. They do drag the horse back, and that's how Joel finds him, because of all the blood. So yeah, it's a good point. You want to talk about
what I loved about this whole Joel thing with killing these 3 guys was us finally seeing Joel at his true self without Ellie around, because he's just been the protecting father figure for her. And we find out later in the episode, the very last thing he says to her is connection to the first episode, which is bloody fantastic.
Right.
But yeah, like, he was pretty brutal. The first guy, he stabbed him in the neck, and then the other 2 that he got together, like, oh, what a scene. And again, I've said it many times, and I'll continue to say it, scene for scene, word for word from the movie. And from the video game, sorry.
And you know what I really liked about the first kill with the guy who came in the basement? At least on the second watch, I really noticed it, that, he's still pretty weak. And when he's behind him, he stabs him right down the throat. But you can see he's almost like leaning on him, because he doesn't really have the strength right now to like actually stand that long. And to me, that's what it looked like. It felt like he was almost leaning into him to make him fall, so he could just get back down to the ground, because he couldn't stand it any longer. But yeah, and then
I'm a sadistic person, because like when I kill people in the games, I will like rotate the camera 360 degrees to see their facial expressions and see how they died. The guy in the basement that Joel stabs, I'm telling you now, you could literally screenshot the 2 from the game, and it's the same face. And I don't know how an actor did the same face as a video character.
That's cool, though. I mean,
dude, it's amazing.
And that's the attention to detail in the show,
Yeah, crazy. It just really is, and that's why you'll find out at the end of this episode, break down what my score is. But there's a reason behind it.
All right, Anthony, thanks for stopping in, brother. Have a good night, man.
Good night, Anthony. He's not a zombie guy. I've tried to tell him they're not zombies.
Yeah, they're not zombies, dude. They're better than zombies.
They are. So we get the scene downstairs, obviously, with the one guy, and then he kind of gets out and goes all commando style on them. Meanwhile, Ellie is put in a cell back at Silver Lake, the resort that they've turned into their own. She's put into a cell, and he talks to her, and David kind of confesses everything, and just he's kind of weird.
Why do bad guys always do that?
I don't know. Strange.
That's everything. Now, granted, she does when she's kind of trying to like figure out a way to maybe possibly escape. She does see that ear, and what I love about this scene is that they show her seeing something, but we don't know yet until David comes up, and then he kind of passes under the cage like a bowl of meat, and at that point we kind of know what it is at this point. At least you have an idea, and then it's confirmed because David looks and sees there's an ear cut off and under the table where they do it. So
yeah,
it was a little creepy, and she knows right away what's going on. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool scene though.
And I want to give props to Ellie as well, the girl who plays her, because she's so good at swearing.
She's too good at swearing. But remember, she really is like 20 years old, so it's okay.
I know.
Yeah,
but she's so good at it. The way she enunciates and gives so much effort into it. Like the one scene where she says, Ellie, and he goes, why? He says, Ellie is the name of the girl that broke your fingers.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I want that as a ring. I want that as a ringtone. Like when my phone rings, broke your fucking fingers.
Oh my God.
Ears taste like chicken, says Papa Missouri.
Apparently they taste like chicken. I don't know. I've never eaten an ear.
I can't reach around to get it. Can't reach around to get my ears.
But yeah.
So what did you think to the two guys? What do you think to the two guys that took a beating?
Yeah, I mean that was pretty harsh. I mean, he kind of gets the information. I love how he said, point to the place on the map, and if your buddy does, you better hope that your buddy points to the same place. Brilliant. I love that. But the only thing is,
the knife's got blood on it.
Right, the blood's got blood on it, so he was going to see it. That's what I kept thinking the whole time. I'm like, well,
your mate's going to look at the map and see the red blood stain and go, that's where he pointed to.
Yeah. That's why I was kind of like, wait. And then actually,
Clean
so it ended up
not even first.
That's right. Yeah, but didn't end up not mattering because he ended up taking both of them out anyways. He didn't really care about these two guys. So dude, straight Negan vibes on that second kill. Oh, I thought baseball bat the whole time going to the head. I wish they would have showed it. Remember that?
Yeah.
Negan does it. Oh my gosh.
Well, I got. It was the sounds because I have headphones on, but I got Ober and Tyrell face squish all over again. The noises.
Yeah.
It's amazing how all these things connect by just seeing his face.
Yeah. Well, he's been in three pretty big shows at this point in his career already. So.
I even like the callback earlier on when she's shooting the rifle and she takes the breath and she squeezes it, and it was a great callback to the episode where he was training her.
Yep. And then we get to see a little bit more of that then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he kind of packs up and starts heading back to what was it called? Silver Lake. And they do make reference to the show too. It is more of they call it more of a resort than like a town.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually he does head back that way, and then we get more Ellie and David, and this is so he's trying to escape at this point because she doesn't want to be in there. So he starts trying to talk to her again, like round 4, like trying to have her trust him. And he starts kind of like putting his hands on the on the old cell there, and then we get to see the nice the big crack of the
made
finger.
My skin shiver.
Oh, dude, it was brutal. And then
literally just watching it, I was like, oh, dude, horrible.
But David gets a couple good shots in on her. I mean, he slams her head into that jail cell or whatever you want to call it a couple times.
Yeah, the jail cell. Yeah, the door of the jail cell.
Yeah, it's like a jail cell door, and
she reaches for the keys.
Mm-hmm. She almost got him, but she does not get him. And basically, then he basically said, "What did he say?" He's like something like, "Oh, well, you said little pieces, right?" Because earlier in the episode, she makes mention that she questions, saying that, "Are you going to chop me up into little pieces?"
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of repeats that line, which is cool.
Yep. And then it cuts to she I don't know. I questioned. Okay, what are you going to do once you've got those keys? He's got a gun.
Yeah.
And you're in a barred area. What are you going to do?
Yeah. But
Just strange.
yeah, I'm not sure what the plan was there exactly, but yeah, David and James come back and they take her out of the cell and they whip her on the table. They got the old butcher's knife there, or the whatever you call it. I guess it'd be a butcher's knife, right? Cleaver. There you go. And yeah, they're getting ready, and
James seemed okay with it because he helps with the other bodies that they've been eating, so he was okay with doing this stuff.
Yep. And she yells out, "I'm infected!" And then we see on his hand, David's hand, that she actually had bit him, and that stops everything. And the cleaver goes right next to her head. It doesn't cut anything, and I mean, I know that he's thinking about being infected, but you might not want to leave the cleaver right next to the crazy girl, right?
Yep.
And then so
Crazy
basically so he doesn't really believe her at first, and then they see the scar on the arm, and then they're like,
question it.
Yeah, but then they're like, well, she would have turned by now, but they obviously know it was something. But before they can even think about that, she just takes that cleaver and goes right into video game Joel and right in his neck. And James goes down. He slides down it's like a Jason Voorhees kill for me, the way he slides down, blood just gushing out of his neck.
I actually had to pixelate that part in the when I was doing the video game to thingy video, and it needs to be pixelated because it's too gory.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's very gory because it literally starts pissing out of his neck.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then David takes aim and misses, of course. His aim was way off. He might have been a stormtrooper in his previous life. I don't know. So, but bad aim. And then we kind of have like a little mouse or a little a cat and mouse game in the restaurant.
End scene boss fight.
Yeah. And so they're fighting, and Ellie looks like she might be in trouble. And again, you might want to keep the crazy girl away from knives and stuff. But so did she grab? Was it the knife she had taken out? Is what she used? Is that what? I was trying to figure out exactly what weapon it was. Was it hers or his? Because he was walking around too. But I know she had grabbed a knife, off the counter. So I was trying to figure out what knife
she grabbed a knife from behind the bar. I think she was just stabbing him with that knife.
So that was the one that fell, and then she was able to grab it. And she just, talk about
dude, blood splatter on the camera lens. Thank you very much, HBO. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Makes me feel like I'm literally in the room when there's blood splatter on the lens. That's making me distort Ellie's face in the scene. It's like, that is amazing camera work.
Yeah, it was nuts. Blood all over the place. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. But it was really good. Yeah, Charles.
And there's a difference to the ending as well, because in the ending she's consistently stabbing. In the game, and Joel comes and grabs her while she's still stabbing, and says stop, and then she freaks out thinking it's somebody else, and then she stares into him and sees that it's Joel. In the episode, she's already finished and she goes outside, and then he comes in. So a little different, but still same premise. And what he says to her is the most important thing.
Go ahead.
And I just forgot it, but he calls her my love or my darling. He basically references the same thing that he does to his daughter in the first episode.
So what does it say? What does he say? Oh shoot. Oh gosh.
Hey, look, it's me. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, baby girl.
Baby girl, that's what it was. I was trying to think of. I knew it was baby. Girl. I couldn't remember the second one. Yeah, baby girl, and that's what he called his daughter too. So yeah, that becomes a pretty big bonding moment, obviously. And I think at this point now, Joe is pretty much all in on her. It's
John
funny that
protecting her now as his own daughter.
Right. It's just funny to go back 2 episodes when he wanted to leave her with Tommy. It's so in 2 episodes like that. But he knows if she took care of him when he was down. And I don't know how long technically he was out. I mean, I don't know, at least a couple days, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. A couple days. I mean, I don't know how much longer he would have survived with no medicine, though. That wound was not healing. I mean, I know she sewed it up, but the infection would have taken over eventually. So, I would assume a couple days, though. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, really good episode. What would you rank this one out of 10?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Yeah,
Best
I mean,
episode of the season.
best episode of the season.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's probably a 10 out of 10. I don't know if it's I mean, it's definitely a top 3 for me, probably even top 2. I really do like that episode with Henry and Sam. I think that was episode 5, if I remember correctly. I do like that episode a lot. I thought the ending was great. Not have played that in the game, but this episode is definitely up there with that one, and also the premiere. So, but yeah, I mean, just
Yeah, I believe that when you play this episode in the game, your mind will change because you will see how crazy that it is, just so to a T.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's one episode, so I mean, I'm sure it was kind of not, I don't want to say rushed, but it's like how long. I mean,
It's part of the game.
I mean, if you're just, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that maybe they could have made it maybe 15 minutes longer and had them go. But again, is Joel with her? Is Joel with them when they're doing the mission in the game?
No.
So it's just Ellie and
when
him?
when she comes back to tell Joel that the people are coming, is the moment that you know that Joel's alive in the game, because at that point you have no idea if he's okay or not, because you've been working with Ellie for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree they should have made it an extra 10, maybe even 5 minutes, because I needed to see the struggle with David and Ellie fighting the zombies, the infected, sorry.
Okay.
Because that was a point of turning for David.
Right.
They get through what they get through, and then he just tells her straight.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, you'll find out, or you'll learn a lot more when we break down the video thing.
Yeah, it's so well written, and I know they're taking some of these lines right from the video game, which is awesome, because that's what you want. I think back to these other video games that have been made, and I don't know if we've actually had a TV series made into one. I mean, I'm sure we have, like Halo, and I know that kind of stuff, but like, like the ones I'm thinking about is kind of like Resident Evil, right? That whole it's okay, it's fine, but it has really nothing to do with the video game.
No.
I mean, maybe a little bit the first one, just in the
names of characters and things like that, but that's about it.
That has nothing to do with it, and this is what people want,
because this single player storyline games that are out there rivals some of the best ever movies that have ever been made, and the stories that are connected to them are worth the time to be on the big screen. I think personally, this might be a big shout, but I think in the next 10 years this is going to be the normal. Like, I can't wait till we get God of War, the TV show, dude. That if they do God of War the way they do The Last of Us, God of War will blow away Game of Thrones as the best show ever made.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's so
never
good.
Played it, so I don't know.
Well, you should get it because it's a PlayStation game, and you would love God of War.
Yeah.
I think that's the norm. In 10 years' time, we'll be talking about games being TV adaptations.
I'm surprised, honestly, that they've never made a game based on Grand Theft Auto. As popular as that game is,
they've never made a movie on it. Yeah.
They've never made a movie based on the video game. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of potential there. Vice City for me I think it's still my favorite one. I love the 80s vibe of that game, and it just it's very Scarfacey meets Miami Vice.
Yeah, I like San Andreas.
San Andreas is fun too. San Andreas is really good. That's actually the only one I've actually beat 100% all the way through.
Well, can you beat GTA 5? The amount of times they update that game. I've done the storyline and I've completed the storyline, but the online portion of it is still why it's the highest grossing game I've ever.
Yeah.
And we'll probably never get GTA 6 because they're still making $500 million a year for a game that was made 10 years ago.
There was a teaser of a release date for that. I saw on YouTube today.
There's been teasers for release dates for that for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I know. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I know. So
they're never gonna. I genuinely don't think we'll see it about. But that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah.
We should do a video game live one day where we talk about video game and their influence on our upbringing.
That's right. All right.
Cool. Well, dude, I've really enjoyed breaking down this episode and hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, just being here. And again, we've got one more episode, and we would have completed another thing. It's like you can get your gold trophy for PlayStation, and I can get my achievement unlocked at the bottom. It'll go boop, Raven Reviews unlocked The Last of Us.
Is correct. So so don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Smash that like. You can also check out our main channels in the description down below. And then we'll be back next Monday, 8:15, and we'll break down the finale. And then we'll probably give our rankings for that episode, and then is the series overall, and maybe we can even look ahead a little bit to see what comes next. Hopefully within a year we'll get it. I hope we don't have to wait 2 years. It seems like the norm right now. I'm hoping we don't have to wait 2 years though. Hopefully a year. So,
Poppy Missouri, do you want to come up on the panel next week for the finale and talk to us? I know you've been here for every episode, and I think I'd love to know what you thought of the entire thing as a whole. So, we do that, don't we, with the final episodes? We bring up a couple of guests usually if they've watched it with us. So.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to always join. That's for sure.
So that'll be next week, the finale, which is I like episode 9. They didn't do 10 episodes. Yeah.
All right. Well. Very good. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. If you watch this on the replay, don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to check out the video tomorrow.
Comment.
We're gonna be dropping a video probably in the afternoon tomorrow. And we're taking the each episode up to this point and matching it up with the video game scenes, and we're just kind of talking about it and going through it. So I think it's going to be a fun little video. So I hope you guys enjoy that. All right.
Cool, guys. Thanks very much. I appreciate you all being here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead.
Don't forget to keep those heads on and always stay milky.
All right. Take care, guys. We'll have a good night.